happening? Welcome into the Stache and Beard Show. I'm Austin Pistulka. This is Alan Pilley.
What's up, motherfuckers?
And let me tell you something. COVID in China.
Coming right at you.
Am I right? That's what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Fucking Mask City. Okay. I didn't know what it was. I thought you were throwing some underwear
Thought
at
it was a cocksock.
I didn't know what was going on.
Didn't want to touch it.
These hands! I'm gonna have to.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh no! Why don't we have a camera on you, motherfucker?
I will not unsee that, unfortunately.
Wow!
I swear to God.
So, anyway, we heard some weird news stories this week, and we want to talk about because they're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So, COVID in China.
COVID in China. Here we
Oddly
go.
enough,
Round 2, COVID China.
Oddly enough, not connected this time.
Nope.
Okay, we've got a COVID story and a China story. So, what are COVID nails?
So, okay, lead into this. We're at Chili's yesterday, and this
The subpar Applebee's.
maybe depends on the time of day.
Okay,
but I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But yes. So this lady's sitting behind me, and she's talking to her family, and I'm eating my fucking food, and this lady's like, "Oh, you know, COVID nails are a thing now," and I'm like listening. And so she leads in, and she's like, "It's another sign that you've had COVID."
Okay.
And I'm sitting there, I was like, "This fucking lady, she's full of shit, right?"
Absolutely.
So family's eating food. I'm listening to this lady keep talking, and I Google what I pulled up and ended up sending to you. And COVID nails are a real thing. It goes by, it's more, instead of COVID nails, it's known as Bow's lines.
Okay.
B-E-A-U apostrophe S. So the name Bow.
Bow.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So anyway, this is it is supposed to be a sign that you have had COVID.
Okay.
And it's these horizontal ridges that are in your nails. And what looks like those ridges right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So not just like what you call the moons or whatever, like they're actual indentations.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm reading this and I'm like, this lady wasn't bullshit.
Right.
But I'm laughing because I'm like, Jesus, like everything now means you had COVID.
Right.
You got 2 ears? COVID. You got a dick and balls? COVID. Unless you're a lady and you don't have COVID. And if you did have COVID, well then I don't know why you don't have dick and balls, but let's talk about that later because there's only 2 genders. That'll piss some motherfuckers off. COVID, China, and 2 genders. But it's a major...
Title this Hot Button Topics. You, Stache and Beard Show.
Yeah. Major physiological stress, like an illness, you basically have a shifting in the nail cycle. You'll usually see this, and this is where this gets fucking screwy.
Okay.
You'll usually see this in all of your nails, not just one, and maybe even your toenails. If you've had COVID, you won't see this right away. And then it goes in to talk about the grooves, the horizontals.
So, okay, this makes sense, and the reason why it makes sense is because, like, the thing about nails and about hair, because this is why when people get drug tested with hair, they end up shaving their head because they're like, it's been in their system for a long time. So when your nails and stuff grow, it's no longer alive. It's dead stuff being pushed out, and so all that sort of stuff. So it makes sense that, hey, you were sick, so your body was pumping other things elsewhere, so you would have an indention where you aren't producing more. Like, that makes sense to me.
I guess. I know what you're saying about as far as hair and nails and growth and like tree rings and
right.
Like,
that's
stuff like
exactly
that.
it.
So then it goes in further. It's like had COVID but don't see COVID nails. So it talks about before if you got COVID, you'll have COVID nails.
You could have COVID.
But had COVID but don't see the nails.
Right.
So this won't necessarily happen to everyone, and it's more apparent in some people than others.
Okay.
Some people don't see it in the nail because it's not so obvious.
Okay.
So it continues on. Not necessarily. Okay, does having COVID nails mean you had COVID-19? So not necessarily. Many illnesses can cause this infectious disease. It's been well known that any kind of systemic disease can disrupt nail growth, which can be reflected in abnormalities in the appearance of nails.
Hold on.
Now,
Time out.
Okay.
So you're saying you could. So if you have had COVID, you could have COVID nails. That's number one.
If you had COVID, correct. You could have COVID nails.
Number two.
If you had COVID, you could not have COVID nails.
If you have COVID nails, you might not have had COVID.
Correct. So back to my original joke.
Okay.
2 ears, dick and balls, got an arm, got a family, you got a mother that loves you, COVID. Like, you know, but then it's like, oh, you're an orphan, you're a female, you lost your ear because of Van Gogh, no COVID. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, dude.
Wow. So it straight up says, it literally gives you know what this is? I don't know what website you sent it from, but
health.com.
Fucking health.com, man. Here's the deal.
Which, you know what? I'm not going to say is a reputable source because I really don't know. However, in this age of like, real quick, Google some shit.
Right.
And Google pays, like, say you paid billions of dollars to be number one. So, hey, Austin.com.
Right.
To most of us, it'd be like, man, Austin.com, he's number one.
Yeah, he's
got to know some shit.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then we go there and it's fucking, I don't know, gay porn site. If you're into that,
it's not.
Hoorah. If you're not,
listen, AustinPistulka.com is not a gay porn site. I don't care what you say.
So
you say it is? It's not. I have not once posted gay porn on AustinPistulka.com. Don't even think about it.
Anyway, I would think with the name like health.com, fucking reputable. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't there like a health magazine or something like that? I like that was
Sure.
maybe I don't know.
Probably.
I haven't been to a doctor in years. I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying. So health.com.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
so,
WebMD.
Because the reason why I asked
Mayo Clinic
is because I am of the media. Austin Pistulka, media member. And when I post
and also website owner.
Website owner, Austin Pistulka. Not gay porn, stop it. AustinPistulka.com for a website I haven't updated in a while. Don't you fucking dare. I see it. No.
Is that the cherry?
It's the cherry. Ah, you got me. Oh, gosh.
If you caught it, you got to eat it.
I didn't catch it.
All right, COVID.
You
got COVID. It's on here. Health.com.
If you've had a cherry, a moonshine cherry shot at you, you may or may not have had COVID. But as a member of the media, someone who knows that I'm in this business to get clicks. If I get more clicks, that means I can sell more ad revenue. I get more money.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
You know,
and so there are a lot of these stories.
And I'm not, when I say this, I don't mean you, Tara. We got a good friend. She's at News Channel 6. All right?
Absolutely.
When I say this generalized statement, I don't mean you two.
Right.
But it just sucks. Like, you motherfuckers go to make your money off of this.
Right.
So now you got motherfuckers running out there like, oh my God, I gotta get rid of my COVID nails. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you reported on 96.9 The Game COVID nails. And now like I'm out here like, oh goddamn it, I got COVID. Oh shit, what am I gonna do? Moonshine.
Fucking nothing.
I just had to.
It is moonshine.
The accent, voice, whatever.
Hell yeah. Tennessee
whiskey, motherfucker. So like, and now because of you, now you got all of us thinking.
Now I've created panic.
Correct, and that's.
But now I've shared something that I've put something out there that you then share to Facebook, that then your grandma shares to Facebook, that someone else shares, and someone picks up on Twitter, and now my post has 2,000 views, and I'm now getting a bonus check.
But hopefully I'm saying this right. I'm the devil's advocate, is what I'm thinking here. Like, we should be smarter than that. Let's go and run. Austin said COVID nails. Let me go find out what COVID, which I did. And I found health.com.
Yes.
And here we are. So, but as we're reading through, high fever can also cause these grooves.
Right. So if you have a bad cold.
Chemotherapy is a classic case of giving you COVID nails. It says it right here.
Why is it still called COVID nails? At this point, it does have a different name. It's Bose
lines.
Bose lines. That's not near as fun as COVID nails.
As a whole, Bose nails are usually nothing to worry about. It just shows that your body went through something and you're done with it. Icon School of Medicine. Good news is that even though without treatment, it should correct itself. Once the nail change has happened, it is not permanent, so it is just a waiting game for the nail to grow out. I also feel like this is like you and I were joking around, like, I got to go to the fucking airport. You and I, I'm like, I got to show my fucking nail beds. Oh, ain't got COVID nails. I get first class seating and moonshine. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's something else for us yet to be afraid of as well. Like, oh, Jesus, like, Jody's not going to know that I don't have COVID.
Right.
I could have went through chemo. God forbid I never have to. But you know what I'm saying? Because it says here that chemo was a stressful situation.
Sure, absolutely.
So now this motherfucker sees my COVID nails, doesn't know that I just went through cancer and kicked its fucking dick in the mud.
Yep.
But he sees COVID nails and says, oh, you know what I mean? So that's my little take on this.
I absolutely get what you're saying, and there is a lost art of responsible reporting, and so
I totally agree, man.
Absolutely, and
Totally
it's because it all comes back to the fact that in the 1970s, if I remember correctly, I'm going off of journalism knowledge from when I went to college a couple years ago. Okay, in the 70s, when CNN first started, okay, CNN was struggling to get ad revenue because people didn't watch. Because guess what? People really don't want to watch the news for very long because the news kind of sucks when you got 24 hours to fill. And so CNN said, or it used to be that with news, you had to do news. It had to be unbiased. It had to be just the events of the day. It was not entertainment. It was news. CNN came to Congress and said, hey, we need to be able to be entertaining. We need to be able to make money to do this. And so Congress passed a law saying news doesn't have to be news, it can be entertainment. And from that moment on, that set us on the course that we are on right now. Because now, 24-hour news networks, 24-hour cable news networks, they are all entertainment, except for 1 hour where they are actual news.
I see that. Everybody's got to make some money, man. We're on the side where we're more entertainment than we are about making money.
Absolutely.
Money. Hey, we don't want money.
We've got 22 cents in Anchor.fm.
But, you know what I'm saying? The other side of that is man, come on. This shit right here, man. You got motherfuckers afraid of fucking COVID nails now.
Absolutely.
No lie to you, I'm sitting here at the fucking table and I'm with my phone because Chili's is dim, and I'm looking, I was oh god damn it, do I got COVID nails?
You're checking all your kids,
dude, I'm literally checking my nail beds because I told you the story.
Yeah.
My friend Carrie, I had some back pain. I called her up. She's like, oh hey, how you doing? I was like, I don't know, I got some lower back pain. Oh, it's a new sign of COVID. I'm like, what? Are you serious? This is a year ago, back when we were at Backbone. And I pull it up, and sure enough, they're like, back pain could be a new sign of COVID. I'm like, but I don't have COVID. Get the fuck out of here.
The craziest thing about all of that was that because COVID was so new, anything could have been.
Dude, I'm not even fucking making this. I swear to God, I wish she was here about this. I went through a horrible allergic reaction. My eyes were as red as my shirt, not the titties, but the red. And I called her up, and she was like, "Oh, red eyes is a sign of COVID." I'm like, "Are you fucking?" So now I got to walk into places, bloodshot eyes from allergies, and people were like, "COVID," and I'm like, "No, allergies, pollen."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But dude, I was hitting this lady up with every fucking ailment that I was going through at the time due to allergic reactions. That they tied in to COVID.
Right.
So my fear is, you don't know me from a hole in the wall. I walk in, this motherfucker's got COVID. I'm like, no, I can smell and taste. Trust me.
Yeah.
I just look like fucking Quasimodo right now. You know what I mean? Back pain, making me limp, and my fucking eyes snotting, and I'm just like, no, trust me. But
you don't want to be around me because I'm a gross human being, not because I have COVID.
I'm allergic to fucking pollen and dogs and fucking bullshit people and COVID nails. I'm allergic to all that shit.
Absolutely.
But every fucking thing, man, was like, you got COVID. And I'm like,
and that was the thing, and it was because it was so new, because nobody had, and that's why I'm like, okay, it was new, people were freaking out. It is what it is. When everything started, cool. You're allowed to freak out.
Yeah.
Because no one knew what the was going on. If you freak out about that shit now, I'm sorry, bro. You got to do your research better. Okay.
And so, like I said, I literally, I thought this one was pretty funny because this was just at a table. Mother's Day dinner, blah, blah, or lunch, whatever the time it was, and then COVID nails, which, okay, back into the China thing, and now we segue over into China.
Hey, so
this rocket story.
This rocket story is absolutely crazy. So China, a couple weeks ago, launched a rocket into space. Something that happens all the fucking time, right? We launch shit into space because we're going to explore, okay? Well, China sent it up, and the booster rockets, they're supposed to fall away, and 9 times out of 10, I don't think this has ever been a problem in the U.S. or really any other space stories, but with China, the booster rockets went up, and they went too far. And
it's called the Long March 5B rocket.
Right. And the booster packs went up, and it got caught in orbit. And what that means is they no longer have control over where it's going to land. And most of the time, it just lands in the ocean. Boom, nothing, unless it's SpaceX. And then SpaceX actually lands on a thing so they can reuse it.
And to to hit on that real quick before you keep on, generally they have a very good idea of where re-entry
Absolutely.
and debris. It's a controlled debris drop.
Exactly.
Some does become space trash, other becomes water trash, and they come and pick it up.
Right.
Generally, they know where it's going to go. This
Absolutely.
story, though.
Then, this didn't happen this time. It gets up into orbit, and it goes around and around for like 2 weeks.
I don't remember the time. I remember that the piece that we're talking about, it's a 21-ton piece.
10 stories, 100 feet long.
And as it's about to make re-entry, it gets sucked into orbit.
Yeah.
Earth's orbit.
Yeah.
About 18,000 miles an hour.
Yep.
And making essentially a spiral free fall as it's pulled into our atmosphere.
Right.
And now nobody knows, which I loved when you said this, nobody knew where it was going. And America pulls up a map and they're like, from here to here, which is the whole world.
It was legitimately
been hit.
It was from the line of Kansas from north to south, all the way down to South America.
Nothing will ever hit Kansas.
You're correct, because Kansas sucks.
Or where?
Tornadoes.
Tornadoes,
Yes,
yeah, that's it. But f them. But then all the way over to like Asia was like the whole fucking map where this thing could land.
So I was doing my reading on it, and America
And it was big
had
on
come
TikTok
out,
too. That was a big.
U.S. had come out and said, "Look, like it's not going to hit us."
Right.
But then from there, it could have hit Costa Rica. It ended up dropping off into the Atlantic Ocean, or Indian Ocean,
Right.
/ something peninsula, Arabian Peninsula.
Right. It was near
outside of the
Yeah, Maldives.
And so that's where it ended up hitting. China came out and said, "Hey, U.S." talking about media and also CNN. China came out and said, "Hey, shut the fuck up." Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. You made it into what it is.
Right.
But China has a history of this type of shit.
This has happened
three previous times. Dude, we're going back 60s and 70s.
Right.
So they've had a 30, 40 year good track record, I guess. But
Yeah.
then I don't really know, because maybe for 40 years they weren't doing space missions. I don't know anything about the China space exploration program.
Yeah,
but anyway.
I'm no expert.
Not at all.
But what I do know is that this topic was really big on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, people talked about it. Like, there were tons of. There's a gal called Space Gal or something like that. That's her handle. She used to be an astronaut. She talked about it a whole lot. Hank Green talked to. He's the science guy on TikTok. He talked about it a whole bunch, and so people in my generation that watch TikTok knew all about this. I told this on the radio show last week, and I said, "Hey, it's supposed to land this Saturday," and they were like, "What the fuck? When did this happen? This was going on." So it was not reported on until it finally landed. Like, you didn't even know about it until
you told me the story, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I hadn't heard anything about this.
And so it's just not to get too existential on all this, but it's crazy what news stories are newsworthy and are not, because COVID nails.
Yeah.
More people know about COVID nails than the fact that they could have had a 10-story fucking rocket land in their house.
Yeah. So when you had said that, I went and looked at this story. So what we're talking about as far as like media reporting and being legit and legal and just righteous.
Yeah.
So it says here, this was merely a Western effort to discredit China's space program and thwart its progress. Their hype and smears were in vain, accusing U.S. scientists and NASA of acting against their conscience and being anti-intellectual. These people are jealous of China's rapid progress in space technology. Some of them even tried to use noises they made to obstruct and interfere with China's future intensive launches for the construction of its space station. So, while Beijing has long accused Western countries and media of holding China to a different standard, Chinese officials also routinely have a nationalist response to any criticism, branding it an ill-intended attempt to smear China.
Interesting.
So it's tennis.
It's funny though, because
fuck y'all, we're doing better. No, you're not. We are, and it's just tennis back and forth is what it sounds like.
And it was all talked about on a Chinese app called TikTok.
Yeah,
So,
dude, it was just a crazy story.
Absolutely.
But yeah, when you hit me up with it, I'm like, what? Like, what rocket? But like, the craziest thing is like hearing about how it got pulled into orbit.
Right.
And when it did, like gravity, like it literally just started getting swooped around Earth. And then it was like literally like what's the fucking game? Plinko? From
Where it goes ding, ding, ding,
like
ding.
we had no clue where this motherfucker was gonna land.
Yeah, it really could have landed anywhere.
So just a crazy story.
I'm trying to look up. There's a show on either Amazon Prime or Apple. I can't remember what it is, and but there is it's an alternate timeline. It's the idea that instead of the U.S. getting to the moon first, Russia got to the moon first, and what would then come from this, and so like where else does the U.S. grow? So it's like it's interesting stuff. I'm looking it up. I've been trying to look it up.
I've heard about this stuff for years, dude. About how
For All Mankind, it's on Apple Plus.
Okay, about how Russia was actually first, so that we staged. Did you hear
Right,
about
so
the
there's
conspiracy
that.
theory that we staged the moon landing? And there's the theorists that came out there and they're like, oh, the flag is blowing, and they're like, on the moon, the flag would just like lay limp, like type of thing. And I'm like, oh man, talking about doing your own research.
How do you feel about conspiracy theories?
Dude,
in general.
There are some that are very validated, and there are some where I'm just like, dude, lay the fuck off the drugs, man.
Absolutely.
But I guess to fence straddle, like I like to do on this show, what's the theory, and what's it about? You know what I'm saying? And who's the person telling it?
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah.
Because there are some very, dude, we can go, man, we could go 9/11, we could go Bigfoot, we could go JFK, we could go, dude, the Holocaust. That Jesus Christ, are you fucking kidding me on that one?
That one's insane.
Me and a good friend of mine talked about that.
Yeah.
There's so many others,
I know we don't have time for this.
Yeah,
but
that would be another good episode.
That would be we'll definitely do this another
yeah.
episode. But real quick, people in Germany with people saying that the Holocaust is fake. Not that it ever came up with you, but like, did that ever come up? They're like, oh, the Holocaust is fake. Like in Germany.
Having lived over there, first off, not during the war, but I lived over there.
Not during the war, and you
had,
didn't go to high school there.
No, I went to high school, but we're on American base, so it's an American school on an American base type thing. Right. I had German friends off base and things like that.
Yeah.
And it amongst us, even like us in this gym, like racism, is it out there? Yeah, it's not something we talk about in here.
Right. Yeah.
So even being over there, we don't talk about the Nazis, we don't talk about the skinheads, we don't talk about the nationalist movement. Is it real? Yeah, man. You walk around still to this day and age and you see swastikas that are freshly painted. And I have talked, and when I say my German friends, they were older, they're like my mom's age type thing, and absolutely real thing.
Yeah.
I'm saying like they own up to it, and it's a is it called a checkered past? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
Checkered past, and
Absolutely.
they're like, look, they own up to it. Hey, man, it's one of those things. It's like if to my one friend, we had Crystal, we had Marion, they were older, they were like I said 60, 70, but it was like to say that they were part of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, you didn't, their family had nothing to do with it.
Right. Yeah.
But even they owned up to it.
Yeah.
Hey, us as a whole, us as Germans suck, man.
Right. Yeah.
We were not of the Nationalist Party.
There's a reason why we are the bad guys in all the movies. Like,
we
get
as Germans accept it as far as a history. Yeah. And we're moving on, man. Yeah. So even amongst them, as far as that whole theory, like it's just weird, man.
It is super weird.
And all the books I've read and all the studies I've done, and all the museums.
Sure. Like,
man, you're spending a lot of money on a fucking hoax.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my take on it. But we could talk extensively about that in a later episode.
I love conspiracy theories.
Dude, so we'll talk about it, but also this Bigfoot one. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
And dude, the weed farms in Northern California. And this guy that witnessed 3 people murdered by a Bigfoot, and years go by, and now he wants to do a story on it. So now he's trying to find out the original weed farmer. Dude, we're talking about going back in the 70s, before like big weed farms took off. Like, dude, it was a crazy documentary.
Have to check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to get the name for you, but we'll talk about that later.
So I've realized that we haven't once talked about anything fitness on the Stache and Beard Fitness Show.
Yes, we did. Alcohol obstructs your goals in life.
Whiskey and deadlifts.
We even said that. Whiskey and deadlifts, they go together.
Absolutely.
I
guess real quick, how was your week of lifting?
Bench night was decent, and I squatted.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't really have... Oh, the story that ended up not making YouTube, but made the podcast. The Liz calling me a pussy. We posted that on TikTok, 40,000 views.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
People ate that shit up. There was one guy that was like, this is fake, cap, like this is... Like, someone really thought that like, oh, this was all staged, and then everyone else... The funniest fucking thing is that someone commented, and his back was never the same. And nobody understood what he was saying, except for Liz. Because everyone's like, oh, are you saying he has bad deadlift form? And they're like, and everyone's like, no, his deadlift form looks great, blah, 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 all this. And Liz finally chimes in and goes, dude, this commenter is talking about the Chad chop that he gave. and no one has commented since because they're like, oh, yeah, no shit. They're talking about the chalk.
There's been a lot of the YouTube stories that I watch, a lot of the channels. I absolutely don't understand where some of these people come from.
Really
living
don't.
under a rock.
Yeah, I really don't.
I just don't. Like, maybe when I started in this industry, God, I got into it when I was fucking 18 or 19. That's 20 years ago, man.
Yeah.
And we're still no advancements.
Same comments.
No advancements?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're still talking about creatine being bad. We're still talking about too much protein being bad. We're still talking about fucking carbs are bad, eating after dark. Like, no advancements?
None.
You know
Zero.
what I mean?
20 years.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the fitness part. Hey, time for plugs. We're getting out of this show. So, all right. First things first. YouTube. You can find us on YouTube Wednesdays, Fridays, sometimes Sundays. If the third segment's good, you're going to see it on Sunday this time. Wednesdays, Fridays, Sundays. Fucking podcasts. You can catch the podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts can be found. Motherfucker, you can review this motherfucker and give it 5 stars, and that's how we fucking grow, brother. Anchor.fm. Check them out. Link in the description. Thanks so much to
Lady Juice Beard Oil.
That's what I was trying to say. Lady Juice Beard
Coors
Oil.
Light.
Coors Light. Strongman
Smoky
Movers.
Mountains. Fucking
Absolutely.
moonshine whiskey.
Old Smoky Tennessee
that
moonshine.
God.
This one was rough. Be sure to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Radio Guy Austin, on TikTok at Actually Average. He's Alan Pilley. Where can they find you?
At Alan Pilley, Lady Juice Beard Oil, and CTX Barbell, Orlando.
That's right. All on IG. Because this man doesn't do Twitter.
Don't give a shit.
That's right. The 280 characters.
That's sure. I thought it was 140.
No, he doubled it.
Oh!
Yeah. TikTok's also 3 minutes long now. So,
yeah,
they went from 15 now to 60 now to 3 minutes. It's bullshit, man.
I heard Instagram also up there stories. You could post longer stories.
Listen, social media is bullshit, except for ours. Be sure to follow us for all the places found.
Hit that like and subscribe button.
Like and subscribe. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back next week. Bye, motherfuckers.
Later, motherfuckers.